Welcome back. All right, so it's been a couple of weeks, but new episode of The Flash. So I watched, I took notes. It's what I do. And I'm going to say this: The Flash is clearly doing just episodic things for their final season. And that probably works well for the cast. The emotional, overwrought, long term storyline that you normally see in television now, which I'm not going to say it puts me off because there's some shows where I do enjoy it, but in general, it feels like every TV show now is a long movie. There was a time, and I'm showing my age here, where I would turn on a show, I'd watch half an hour or an hour, and then it was done. And everything would kind of end where it started. There's that joke, of course, on Simpsons, at the end of an episode. Well, it looks like that's the end of that. Why? And then they go to credits. And it's because that's kind of how TV used to work. And of course, now every TV show, it feels like it's a really long movie. What they're doing with Flash is not that, but there's so many things that don't take a step forward this week, and Flash isn't. I mean, he's still the Flash, but the amount of time he actually spends doing Flash things on this show has really dropped off dramatically this year. I don't know if it was a budget thing, if it was Grant Gustin saying, you know what, nah, or just the writers saying, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this. But either way, it starts off with this episode's called "It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want to." The title is way more fun than the episode. It starts off with Allegra, Chester, and Cecile planning Barry's party, which doesn't matter because the very next moment is the start of the party. So, I'm not sure why you throw in the party planning at the start, other than we need another 20 seconds. The show's 20 seconds short. So Wally's at the birthday. Now Wally is the brother to Iris. Has not been mentioned on the show. Has not been on the show in a long time. And I understand how he went off to Tibet and he's finding himself and he's reaching out and yada yada yada. But there have been times where there's clearly a crisis that Wally should be there to help with, at least a little bit. Just a little bit. He's a speedster. It's the same reason why I'm like, where's Supergirl during any of this? But at any rate, Wally's there. There's almost no reaction to him being there from people like, wow, Wally, it's so glad you're home. So Diggle gives Barry Oliver's bow. So John Diggle's here because bit of a crossover of sorts. And Barry declines it. Barry's like, no, I don't want it. And just sort of walks away from it. And I'm thinking, well, I'll take it. You don't think you should get it? I'll take it. And then they show Chester and Allegra, and it's a 1 month anniversary, so she gets a present that I don't know, it obscures her face when she does meta things. She eventually crushes it, so I guess he's gonna have to remake it again. It's not that she crushes it though. We'll get into it. I think that was supposed to be an emotional moment. It just reminded me of Evil Dead, kind of. So and I mean kind of because it wasn't clever like Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead I'm talking about here. So Wally talks to Barry about how he's been reaching into alternate timelines. Barry doesn't really say much about it, just sort of like, cool. Okay. Somebody told me, yeah, so I've been reaching into alternate timelines. I'd be like, you're doing what now? So we've established that reaching back across time is a bad thing. Barry's come out, I shouldn't travel back in time or forward in time. Yeah, we know, Barry, but you keep doing it. Well, I would think that crossing into other timelines and poking around in there could be of similar peril, but at any rate, Barry doesn't think about it. So the cider knocks everyone out. It's Bloodwork, Dr. Ramsey, and I wrote, oh goody, because one of the least interesting villains they've had on the show was Bloodwork. Or he just, I don't know, he wants to cheat death and he's got this HLH, which is going to kill him. And it just sort of, they let Bloodwork off the hook, and it was clear that Bloodwork was going to come back in at some point this year, but I really didn't care. I found he was a step down from other villains, whether it was Cicada, and I wasn't a huge fan of how the Cicada storyline ended up playing out, or the Thinker. I thought the Thinker was probably the most interesting one, but at any rate, the cider knocks everybody out. Bloodwork, and then Barry says, "You're not going to get in my head again." And he answers with, "I already am, because I said out loud to the TV, yeah, if you said you're not going to do that to me again, it means he's already started." So Chester didn't have anything to drink, so zombies get sent after him in a storyline that has absolutely no bearing on anything, and it has absolutely no consequence whatsoever. This was busy work. This was a B storyline because and it didn't even serve any purpose. You could have had Chester drink it, and we'll go through how Keon's a big hero, but it didn't matter. So at any rate, zombies. Wally's the target, so he's in a nightmare. And it's a nightmare / memory, and Bloodwork offers to help, cure people dying. So there you go. Bloodwork also says there's other Jesse Quicks out there. Jesse Quick was wiped out in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Her Earth was wiped out. So no Jesse for him. And shows him a future where, he can be with her, or he can be in another galaxy, or I don't know. There was a bunch of galactic footage, and, then we get to the zombie chase with Chester and their zombie Allegra. Then we have Bloodwork with Barry and a vision, and he has them on a on a TV show set, and he has them read cue cards, and I'm thinking, now wait, Barry, you know that this isn't real. So why are you following him to a set, and why are you reading cue cards that talk about guilt and grief, and why? I don't understand. And then there's Caitlin / Frost. So Frost's dead on the floor, and there's Caitlin. Well, it has to happen because it's all about you. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, the show's called The Flash, Caitlin. Take a back seat here. But at any rate, so it's zombie Caitlin, because sure. Now, of course, it's not really Caitlin, it's a vision, but it's fine. So Wally's turned to the dark side. They have an Obi-Wan Anakin conversation. I was waiting for Barry to yell, "You're supposed to bring balance to the Jedi Order." And so Wally kills Barry, which I thought, well, that was easy. Just seeing Wally kill Barry, I was like, that just seems exceedingly simple. And Barry did nothing to defend himself here, so he's a real hero. So Oliver greets Barry in limbo. There was no Chevy Impala. I was very upset. Now, if you watch Supernatural, you know what I'm talking about, right? In Supernatural, Limbo, which is in between heaven and hell, was basically just the forests around. I'm going to say it was filmed in Stanley Park, because it's very likely it was. It looked like this was filmed in Stanley Park as well. So I just thought, okay, this looks exactly like Limbo. You got a little bit of weird lighting. And so the fact that there was no Winchester brothers and no Impala just made me very sad. Oliver explains Bloodwork's plan, because you need somebody to do the exposition part of things to try to make any of this make sense. So Bloodwork's plan is simple. He's going to use Wally's ability to look into other timelines to infect every timeline with this thing that brings people back to life. Makes them all zombies. So it's one thing to say, I'm going to bring people eternal life and nobody's ever going to die, but they're zombies. So what kind of life, they're going to get up in the morning, more of the growling and the snarling and the running around after each other, I bet. Well, everybody's a zombie, so I'm not sure what the point is anymore. I've never really understood Bloodwork's plan. Okay, so society's just dead, everybody's a zombie, or you control all of society, and ta-da, I guess. I preferred it in Doctor Who when the Master was turning everybody into him. So, yeah. And then Keon Freezes. This was the part that got me. So she goes in, and all of her friends have been turned into zombies. So Keon is just, she's able to resist all this. And so she goes in, and she has the freezing power of Frost, which shows up sometimes. And in this case, she was able to control it. And I thought, okay, so was she just screwing everybody else the previous weeks? Because we have established that Keon doesn't really have the control over her powers. Now she does. So she said she froze all the water in their bodies, and then says, don't worry, they're fine. No, they're dead. Sweetie, they're dead. You froze all the water in their bodies, they're dead. It's Rick and Morty. You freeze the guy, don't worry, he'll be fine. Falls over, smashes into pieces. I don't understand. That line was my favorite line, I think, ever in The Flash. I froze all the water in their bodies, but they're fine. They're not, though. They're dead. So, that's it. She killed everybody. Done. Finished. It's all done. So, of course, there's a hole in the sky that gets opened by Wally because in every cartoon event, every comic book event, every comic book movie event, there has to be a thing in the sky. It's a trope, and here's the thing: it is a trope, and it is also accurate. Comic books, as much as we love the comic book movies and the whole, all the superheroes and all this, there's a very simple formula when it comes to the storylines for comic books, and I don't think the writing in comics is at like a Stephen King level or anything like that. Like, comic book writing is really basically pretty simple. And so the fact that there's always a hole in the sky or a beam in the sky, thing in the sky, it doesn't really bother me at all. So Oliver senses that this hole has been opened to the multiverse because he's Spectre. Oliver / Spectre can't send Barry back to bring him back to life because Barry's like, you bring me back to life. And Oliver says, I can't because part of you doesn't want to go back. So let's review. Barry knows that his friends are in mortal danger, including his wife, who is pregnant with their child, who apparently is still Nora. And I've heard of multiple people call it and say, oh, Nora. And I'm like, okay, fine, all right. I guess the egg just dropped 3 months early. So, yeah, Barry and Oliver have this discussion about how he doesn't want to go back. And why? Because Barry's seen too many people dying. So in other words, I'm not going to save those people from dying because dying upsets me. Okay, so Barry, you're this superhero. And here's the thing. I have talked for years about how many people Barry's got murdered. But apparently the only ones he feels guilty about are ones that he was personally close to. So, like, when he started talking about all the death, I'm like, oh, yeah, Barry, you've left a huge swath of death in your wake. Oh, just the ones over the last year. Oh, okay, so all those ones before that don't matter. Cool, great. So, and then after this little chat, and here's the thing. If you're going to whine about losing people, don't do it to Oliver Queen. Don't do it to Oliver Queen. Oh, I've had people lost. I was waiting for Oliver to go, you've lost people? Hello, I'm the Green Arrow, dude. Anyways, Oliver explains guilt doesn't go away, and Barry goes, all right, cool. All right, I'm ready to go back now. That's all it takes, basically. And the thing that bothers me is that we're up to the point now we're in season, 26? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're up to the point now where it feels like every speech somebody has to give Barry so he gets his mojo back. He's already had multiple times. I think that we need to start, have an episode before this is done where Barry's having a crisis of confidence, and Iris just wheels in like an old-fashioned TV with a VCR, and she loads up a VHS tape where they explain back in 1995 something to Barry about how he needs to have his confidence. Be like, you know what, Barry? I am sick of dealing with this. I am tired. I am not giving you this speech again. We've already got these on VHS because that's how far back you sucking goes. So, and then tell him I'm Iris. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. I don't know why I'm in this relationship. So, yeah. So Oliver punches him back to life, because why not? And then Oliver's alive too, because he can come back for the crisis. And that's convenient to the plot. Now, I'm going to say this. Stephen Amell, love him. His work's always great. I really appreciate him being in this. But it reminds you, you shouldn't have a character in the show that reminds you, oh yeah, I used to really enjoy watching this. You're right. Yeah, Oliver Queen. A really good, well-rounded character who has some of his flaws, but they don't get everybody murdered all the time. It's interesting. So, Oliver punches him back to life, and then Bloodwork talks to Oliver / Spectre. Dr. Ramsey talks to him, and so we get a bunch of zombies coming in. Now, what I got a kick out of was Oliver fighting the zombies. So these are people that are possessed, right? They're possessed by the Bloodwork, whatever. They're all zombies, but they're not dead. So when Oliver's out there and you hear bones crunching, I'm like, okay, broke that guy's arm, broke that guy's leg, might have snapped that guy's neck. These people are going to wake up in a lot of pain when this is done. They're innocent people. They're going to wake up with broken arms, broken legs. And nobody's covering those expenses. Nobody. Because you're going to go to your insurance provider and go, so I have a broken arm. How? I don't know. I think it was Oliver Queen. He's been dead for years. I think it was Oliver Queen. Good luck getting that covered. Nobody thinks about the insurance risk when you live in Central City. And I would think getting insurance in Central City, good freaking luck. Be like, look, you move there knowing all the meta violence that goes on and how many people end up. Have you seen their hospital? It's bigger than the hotels. Anyways, so all the zombies come in, and so it's it's an excuse for Green Arrow to have a cool fight, really. Then Keon fixes Diggle. That's why she went back there, was to fix John Diggle and to save, I guess, save Chester. Like I said, it really wouldn't have mattered. Chester being saved by Keon means nothing, because in the end, everybody gets cured. So if he had drank it, you still have Keon go back and unfreeze Diggle and have him puke out whatever crap was in there. And then, so John Diggle's up and he's got his superhero outfit he's ready to wear. And then they show the chase between Wally and Barry, the evil version of Wally, of course. And the CGI is, and I put comical and I underlined it because, yes, it's based on a comic book, but the CGI has always been bad on this show. It feels like it gets worse. And maybe it's because CGI technology has gotten better over the last 10 years and theirs hasn't. So maybe it looks worse by comparison, but it doesn't look great. Barry then pleads with Wally. And basically Wally's like, you're not curing me, Flash. Please? Okay. All right, I fought it off. I'm better now. So Diggle had to puke the whole thing up. Where did Wally's go? Because I didn't see him puke it up. And it doesn't matter. Wally cures himself, and then the greatest line ever, he apologizes to Barry for killing him, and Barry goes, don't worry about it. I just, the writing, it's great. So, and then we have Bloodwork versus Oliver and John Diggle. The Flashes, they spin around him and then they lasso him with like this magic speed lightning lasso power. And then Oliver shoots the hole in the sky with an arrow. That hole in the sky had to be, 10,000 feet up, or maybe it was only 50 feet up, because in the end, he just shoots it with an arrow, and I'm thinking that arrow went pretty high up. So, yeah, anyways, so that happened. Everybody Lives Rose. Remember I mentioned that in the last episode, how that was the meme that came out of that episode of Doctor Who. It felt like they did it again. Everybody's fine. Everybody's great. And Ramsey's cured of both the disease that was going to kill him, as well as all of the whatever was going to kill the universe is all gone. And so he's going to jail. So that rolls out. They didn't need to bring him back, honestly. And so it's a miracle and science. And I was like, I don't know that it is. But anyways, so Keon is magic. That seems to be the brunt of it all. That her character's magic and she has powers that are just used whenever the storyline needs them. She's become a MacGuffin. And then they have the birthday party all as well. I don't think Keon was at the birthday party either. She went off to meditate, so she's on her own. Wally and Iris then chat about the pain. I think this is where Wally and Iris remembered their brother and sister, because they had almost no interaction before this. And it can be tough, right? They probably haven't seen each other in a while. It's completely understandable to forget that you're siblings. It could have been awkward. Maybe he asked her out and realized, oh, A, you're pregnant, B, you're my sister. I don't know. They didn't show much of that. Just them chatting about pain and suffering and all that. And then John Diggle's told by Oliver / Spectre that he did the right thing in rejecting the Green Lantern abilities, which was a storyline that I think was going to lead towards a Green Lantern show, and then that didn't happen because CW is just nixing anything involving a show right now. Basically, if CW is showing it, either it's from another network or it's syndicated, and I understand like they needed to cut their budget, but anyways, so yeah, Diggle did the right thing by not becoming Green Lantern, so that whole storyline went nowhere. And then Oliver and Barry have a chat to wrap it up at a bar, and then Oliver disappears. And I was honestly expecting some kind of a stinger at the end where, oh, here comes the big bad villain. Maybe we don't get a big bad villain. Maybe it just ends. And you know what? I would be perfectly fine if this show ended with episode 13 with just a very simple, everyday episode and just Barry and Iris welcoming their baby into the world and just end it there. And not having some big overarching craziness. But I expect big overarching craziness because that's how shows end. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.